Thanks everyone for joining. We will get started here in just a minute. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Hollis Klinkenbeard and I work with the Converged User Group. Community hours are held every month, every third Thursday at 12 p.m. so that we're able to virtually connect with members and discuss a variety of topics based on your member interest. So be sure to share any future topic ideas with our team. If you've missed any of the past few community hours, they are posted on our website under the resources page. And in case this is your first time joining us and you are not familiar with the Converged User Group, we are a customer-led community connecting members, exploring Dell converged and hyper-converged solutions to share ideas, best practices, and experiences. During today's webcast, please use the Q&A function for any questions and use the chat function for discussion with your peers. Our speakers will respond to your questions during or at the end of today's discussion. As mentioned, your feedback helps us to plan future sessions, so please indicate and participate in our polling and our survey at the end of the program. All participants of the survey will be entered in to win some great prizes. And with that, I will pass it along to David Giesecke.
Thank you, Hollis. And let's see here, Shannon, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay? Fantastic, thank you. Thanks again, Hollis, and thanks everyone for joining us for another Converged Community Hour. This is our way of bringing sense of community into your Zooms and into your remote offices until we can get back out there soon, I hope, in person and doing this once again. But we've got a fantastic episode for you today. I am joined by a fantastic co-host, Shannon Champion, Vice President of Product Marketing, Dell Technologies, for a wonderful preview for CI and HCI for Dell Technologies World, stuff that's coming up next week. Before we get started, I do want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. Thank you to Dell Technologies, thank you for VMware, and thank you to all of you for joining us and participating in the Community Hour. This is your Community Hour, so please use the chat, use the Q&A functions, engage with us. If you see some of your friends out there that you haven't seen for a while in the chat, drop them a hi, how are you? Just, and be public about it if you want, but you can always go private too. Or maybe you can't, maybe only I can do that. Well, thank you very much. And Shannon, you can come off mute. I guess we can let everybody know that we were supposed to have a couple of co-hosts today. They are out on assignment. The president of the Converged User Group, Jonathan Toulon, as well as Chris Stanley, a board member, are both got pulled away for assignment. So we will be doing our best to deliver you a fantastic community hour, and we've already succeeded because Shannon's got the background for it. Welcome. So thank you. Let's see what we've got. Shannon, we're going to talk Dell Technologies World. And last year, you gave us a great preview back in October of what was happening. It's neat to see that this year, we're not a full year out. We've gone back to the springtime cadence, to the May cadence. So it feels like we're trying to get a sense of back to normal, laid out foundation for hopefully next year will be in person. That would be fantastic. It hasn't been too long, so I don't expect too many changes. But what can you tell us about what we should expect to hear from Dell Technologies World next week? And, before we even start, maybe we should take a poll of the folks attending to see who's registered for DTW and where they're sitting with that. Hollis, do you have a poll that we could run? All right, folks, this is the warm-up for you. This is the engagement warm-up. Have you registered for DTW yet? We've got some options here for you. And if you haven't, we will also make sure to send you a link in the chat. So please sign up if you haven't. And also in our post-event survey email, we'll send you that link so that you can forward it on to other folks. All righty. So Shannon, as we're waiting for the polls to come in, what's the theme this year? What are we looking for?
Well, yeah, I think we have a lot jammed into 2 days. Some really exciting keynote speakers and announcements, as we always do. I think that our events team did a really good job capturing the feedback of the event in October and making some enhancements to the experience this time around for better engagement with our experts, and really bringing in some fun elements to the digital experience with, you know, some famous, you know, really compelling speakers, some fun play areas that we're participating into. So I'm looking forward to it. I've already blocked out my calendar. That's one thing I learned in October, was because it's virtual, you can just go about your day, take your meetings, like it's all happening kind of in the background. And this time I really want to experience it. So I've blocked out my calendar. I'm going to participate myself in the full sort of virtual experience, take it all in, hear directly from our leaders, check out some of my peers' content. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
That's fantastic, and it's a great point. You know, it's too easy these days with Zooms to kind of get into this habit of, well, I don't really need to participate, so I'll just watch and continue on with other things. And sometimes, you know, multitasking just doesn't pay off. You know, you try to do two things and you get half of any one thing even complete. So that's a great idea. I'm blocking off my schedule too. We'll look for you in the Converge User Group booth. We've got a booth that'll be down there. So members, you know, swing by in between and drop in and say hi. That'll be really fun. Looks like we've got some poll results here. And this is nice to see. A good portion of the folks attending here are ready to go. I did expect a couple like, hey, you know, it's virtual. What's the rush? It's a good point. You know, hey, what is the rush? Well, you know, maybe there are a few things that you want to register for in advance, and we can get into that to block your calendar. Maybe there's some things that you can't move on your day-to-day schedule, so you need to move those around. Maybe everybody's going to try to register same day, and you might not get in. You know, you get a busy signal and you try to dial in. So we've got the link down there. Folks, please feel free to use that. And since there is so much stuff going on, what would be great, Shannon, is if you could help deliver a curated, you know, what should be on members' radars for CI and HCI?
Yeah, definitely. So I have one slide that I will share that kind of takes us through specifically for HCI and CI, what we have planned for the show, which will be relevant to this audience. And I'm psyched to see that 80% of you are already registered, so you can start building out your agenda, as Dave said. Let me just share that, put it into screen show mode. All right, are we in business, Dave? Thumbs up. Okay, cool. All right, so really you're going to hear a lot. In October, we previewed Project Apex, and it's not on this slide, but I will tell you, you know, definitely listen for that. Listen for the conversation related to how Dell Technologies is playing a role in the as-a-service transition that a lot of our customers are going through. Specifically for HCI and CI, though, we do have an announcement that we're planning just after Dell Tech World. It's on June 2nd, and it's related to VxRail. And I will, there is a link that I can provide that will be live by tomorrow for you to get that on your calendar too. So you can attend the launch webinar and hear all of the details about what is in that launch. I will tell you that the live breakout session at Dell Tech World, that's called Reimagine, 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 is all about VxRail, and it gives you a teaser to what that launch event is. So that's one that I would add to your calendars for Dell Tech World. It's on the first day. And then we have a host of other on-demand breakout sessions that you can, add to your agenda, but attend as it fits within the schedule for the rest of the event for you. VCF on VxRail is always one of the top attended sessions for us. It has been for the past several years. Definitely looking forward to it this year. The slight swizzle that we have there is that we'll be pulling in Dell EMC storage as part of that use case and that conversation. So that's a bit of a teaser too to the VxRail launch, but that should be a really fun session. The next one listed on the new tech readout, we have really at an overview level of the advances we're making in general for both storage and CI/HCI from Dell Technologies. So if you want like a bird's eye view, really high level overview, that would be a good session. And as a reminder, I don't know if you guys know yet, for those of you that are registered, maybe you've caught on to it, but because of the digital format, each of these sessions are 15 minutes in length. That's it. So they're definitely short, to the point, very impactful, and you should be able to consume a lot of information throughout those 2 days. The third one listed is all about PowerFlex and how it's sort of like this. I like to describe it as the butterfly. Like it can just morph into so many different ways. So Flex is a perfect name for it. So really talking about how it has these superpowers for mission critical workloads. The fourth is actually featuring a Converged board member. Suzanne Pickett is participating.
That's right.
In the world, and we're excited to have that. She has a conversation with Chad Dunn and with Nancy Hurley on my team related to how Dell IT is leveraging VxRail and PowerFlex and building this digital infrastructure environment. So that's actually a really good session to add to. And we thank her.
Yeah,
obviously.
she's fantastic.
Yeah, that's really good. And then the last one listed here is on emerging trends. So when we look at sort of the market landscape, what are the top 5 emerging trends that we see in data and infrastructure technologies? And this one is actually delivered by myself. And it's, again, short, sweet, top 5 emerging trends. We go into like foundational technologies like DPU or SmartNIC and NVMe over Fabric. We go into sort of new architecture approaches like disaggregated. We talk about then operating model emerging trends like AI ops and obviously as a service. So that is the focus breakout sessions for CI/HCI.
Awesome.
The one thing, well, I'll just round out this, and then I'll make one other point. For access to technical folks at the event, there are a host of Ask the Expert sessions. So I encourage you to take advantage of those, whether it's trying to connect with experts on Flex or Rail or VCF on VxRail. You can definitely mark your calendar for that. Go and have live conversation discussion with the experts that we have lined up there. And then you can also get hands-on with either the interactive demos that we have planned or the hands-on lab, more of a full demo experience. So that's kind of the technical nitty-gritty opportunities there. And from a fun perspective, in the play area of the Dell Tech World app, there's lots of cool things that different teams across Dell have done to sort of gamify the experience for you. And the one that we built is based on augmented reality. It's actually really cool. It's like on your mobile device, it's like shows you a portal, a door. You walk through the door through your mobile device and you're entered into this augmented reality experience, and kind of lets you guide your journey, and you answer questions, and it brings in both the X-Rail and PowerStore. So I hope that you do check that out in the play area and give us feedback. This group has always been really great about, testing out how we're using new technologies to tell our stories, and definitely would love for you to give us some feedback on how you thought the experience was, how we can make it better, if the messaging hit home, if there's something that wasn't making sense. So really excited about that one. And
absolutely. That sounds very cool.
Yeah. And obviously this group is playing a big role too at Dell Tech World. So Dave mentioned, stop by the User Connect area. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about a really cool virtual reality meetup opportunity. The one thing I wanted to point out that's not on this slide is for those of you that are interested in attending a Birds of the Feather session. I'll just give you an insider tip about how that's working for Dell Tech World, and you can thank me later for this insider tip. There's a host of Birds of the Feathers that are being featured. They're intended to be more of a business level, IT impact kind of conversation with leaders at Dell. And the platform that we are using for Birds of the Feather is interactive. It's one of the few interactive ways that we have at Dell Tech World this year. So it's not Zoom. It's a different platform from Zoom, but you have the ability to engage with the speakers beyond video, communicate in a very similar way. The insider tip about it is that only the first 30 people who click enter the room at the time that the Birds of the Feather goes live are the ones who get to be in the room. So this isn't one that you can pre-register and save your spot in advance. So this is another reason to register now, add it to a reminder to your calendar to go in 5 minutes before the session starts and just get ready to hit that button to enter the room. So you're welcome for that tip if you're interested in any of the Birds of the Feather sessions.
That's fantastic. That reminds me of the days where, the 99th caller wins.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's kind of crazy. I think it's great, but selfishly, we are going to do this fantastic VR lounge thing, which you can see here. It says virtual reality meetup. We can talk about that more, but what unfortunately for me, there's a little bit of a conflict for your Birds of a Feather with our virtual reality VR lounge. So we hope that you guys have a fantastic Birds of a Feather and everybody ends on time and just jumps right over to the VR lounge to check out what's going on in the new technology that we're trying to bring to the user group. That's going to be really exciting as well.
I agree.
I think that, it's really cool to also see the hands-on labs here. I don't know if you can go into it too much, but folks will be able to log in from wherever they are and do the hands-on labs, because I know those are very successful in the past at DTW. So that looks like a neat thing too, particularly for folks to push down to their teams, make sure their teams are aware of it.
Yeah, definitely. The hands-on lab experience is kind of what fuels the really popular test drive program. If you've heard of that out in the field, customers love it because they really do get a taste of what the operational experience is. And so the reason they love the test drive is because of the hands-on lab part of that. So definitely, if you haven't checked that out, that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. So folks, if you've got any questions, now would be a time to ask them. If you haven't registered, or if you know team members who haven't registered, be a great time to forward on the link for folks to register. And let's see here, we've got another poll that we could talk to in a second. But before that, I'm wondering if, Hollis, do you have our super secret slide that we could put up to let people know about what we're going to do from the Converged user group perspective during DTW? Now, while Hollis is getting that ready, I'll remind folks, last year, given that with COVID and the virtual and we didn't know what was going on, We opted to not do a Converge user group meeting at Dell Tech World in October for multiple reasons. One, we didn't want to step on anything that we didn't want to take thunder away from anything that Dell was trying to do. Two, it was with the timing of everything, it just seemed way too packed. There was VMworld, and then a couple weeks later there was DTW, both virtual. But this year, the Converge User Group Board has decided that 2 years is too long to go without a DTW Converge User Group meeting, and we are doing the Converge User Group VR Lounge Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. And you should have invites out there for you to join up. You can register at convergeusergroup.com/events. This is a new technology. It's really exciting. I will say it's so much better than Zoom. It's almost like being there in person, with maybe a little bit of seasickness induced, perhaps, but you can get past that. We're going to have a fantastic opportunity to learn more, share more with members about what's going on in VR. If you don't know, virtual reality and, as Shannon mentioned, augmented reality are oftentimes linked together with this concept of XR, X being the placeholder for V or A. The board has decided this is something to really explore. We hope you will join us. You don't have to have a headset to join us, but if you do, please bring that and let us know. Register that way. If you want to participate in what's called a 2D version of AltSpace, you can download the app and access it through your browser. It's limited, but it's still pretty incredible. And if you just want to learn about it, but not really participate, there's plenty of room on the Zoom. We will have a live stream kind of reporter reporting from the event. It's going to be fantastic. So please spread the word and register for DTW and also register for our event here. All right. Let's see if we've got any questions out there from the group. Not seeing too many yet, but Hollis and Ann keep me honest there. Shannon, when we're talking about these bite-sized kind of consumable chunks for on-demand, do you have a recommendation for how folks should be scheduling or putting their schedule together for DTW?
What do you mean?
Well, do they need to? Is there a benefit for them to log into the scheduled time? How many events are live, or are there chat capabilities?
Yeah. So that's a good question. The sessions that are listed as live will have the experts there to chat as the presentation is going on. So for that 15 minutes, you can ask questions related to the content. For the others that are listed on demand, you have to, I would schedule them into your calendar just so that you know to go look for them, add them to your agenda. In order to have a conversation with an expert related to the content in those ones that are on demand, I would go to the Ask the Experts session, because there's one related to one of each of those categories. So that would be my advice on how to kind of navigate that.
Fantastic. Folks, if you don't have it on your schedule, you've got to get Suzanne Pickett's and Chad Dunn's schedule on there. Of course, we want Shannon's on there too, but for those folks who've been user group members for a while, Suzanne has gone, she's been around CI and HCI and doing incredible, really cutting edge things with them for quite some time. Most recently before Dell, at a large global financial institution where she was leading some really incredible thought leadership. She was hired away to Dell Technologies to help advance Dell Technologies' internal IT, and she's doing a great job with it. She's doing some really cool things. You may have logged into one or joined one of our episodes earlier this year where she was continuing the conversation on Kubernetes. Great resource, and she's very accessible. If you watch the session and you have a question, She's a board member. You can reach out and we'll put you in touch with Suzanne. So that's something to really put on your calendar there. Let's see, what else do we have? Anybody out there have questions on DTW? Shannon, we're going to hear a lot about Apex. You know, we kind of had the broad teaser of Apex overview last October, but we're going to see a lot more information coming around that. I think something that, you know, members are going to want to know about is how should they be listening to the Apex message, particularly from a CI and an HCI perspective when they start hearing that next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is there's been a ton of work from October to now to bring Apex branded offers to market. And so I would listen for that, right? There's been a lot of work in terms of like logistically, you know, how do related to what was, you know, the cloud console or the Apex console, what is the user experience going to look like in terms of accessing and buying resources. And I think all of that, I know all of that is consistent no matter what the offer is in terms of what you're buying from an Apex perspective. So down the road, when across all of our ISG products, there's an as a service offer, you can get a sense of what the experience will be like when you're wanting to access those resources. So that's something I would pay attention to. You'll also see some things rebranded that had more of that flexible consumption feel, like VCF on VxRail and the subscription-based offers and some other kind of subscription-based offers that are based on VxRail. You can look for those under an Apex name. So those are some kind of previews of kind of what to watch for.
Okay, great. I think it'll be interesting to watch this unfold throughout the year. Particularly what's neat to me is from the CI/HCI perspective, we've got this kind of data point that we're hitting, and then we've got VMworld that's going to come in about 6 months again. So we'll see how quickly all of this accelerates.
Very fast pace of innovation as always. Yes.
Yes, as always. Well, we've got a couple more poll questions that I'd like to hit here while we keep the chat open for any questions. So Hollis, if you could tee up the next one. We want to get a sense, folks. Look, it's been tough. I think everybody wants to get back to in-person, and we'll get there. But it's also been neat to see the shift to what we can deliver virtually for these conferences. So we'd like to get your sense, you know, how do you feel about the industry conferences now? We've had a year's worth of these virtual things. Is there a balance that we can strike, or is it just let's get back to the old way of doing things? So please take a few minutes and share your perspective there. And then we can tee up while we're getting this. Apex is all about consumption model, right, Shannon? Is that a way to really up-level it, or how is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, I would think about it as, you know, with the evolution to HCI is all about simplicity and, you know, driving more automation and integration and really taking away some of the operational complexity, offloading those tasks. I see Apex as the next step in that journey, where as a customer, you don't own the infrastructure anymore. Dell Technologies owns the infrastructure. And as a result of that, you get to benefit from, you know, really just enjoying the service levels that you require to run your business, and just trust and rely on Dell Technologies to support that with the infrastructure. But it's at your facility, right? Like it's on premises, but you don't have to manage it at all. You know, like VxRail and the other HCI products that we have, we're really driving a lot of lifecycle management and automation into the infrastructure. At the end of the day, you're still the one kind of pushing the button. That shifts in an as a service model. So it's about consumption model, yes, how you pay, but it's also about, who controls at the end of the day and owns the infrastructure as well.
Yeah, and it sounds like, particularly if you're dealing with GDPR or any sort of data control requirements, this gives you another option on how you can consume that and still remain inside of all of your regulatory requirements.
Right.
Looks
like hybrid model is the winner, huh?
I know, but what's neat here is I think that it just mirrors the marketplace for where we're going with infrastructure, right? A hybrid model.
Yeah. No, hybrid's going to be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think what's neat is you can reach more people. I think we were going there anyway with, if you think about the hang space and all that stuff that happens outside of these things. I think we've just, like other things, we've accelerated a lot and we've learned an awful lot in the past year. We've got one more poll question that I think is very timely and relevant here. Folks, when you're looking at Project Apex, you're going to hear a lot about this next week. What's going on in your companies on how the spending models or the consumption models? This question is a bit more between CapEx and OpEx, but please feel free to use the chat to expand on, is there a level of flexibility that you think something like fully managed storage as a service or infrastructure as a service might provide you to be able to spool up and spool down quickly, particularly looking back at these past 18 months of uncertainty where agility can really help out. So let us know your thoughts on that. And we will get this wrapped up. I think we're at a point, Shannon, where the concept of as a service or subscription or fully managed services, it's been around for some time. But there's like a special sauce or there's just a little layer that hasn't really made it super easy. Kind of like, any sort of iteration through infrastructure technology. It'll be neat to see with the simplicity that Apex brings, if that changes people's minds. Or, maybe it's just the past 12 months or 18 months of like, hey, wait a minute, if we could spool up or spool down as needed, that really would have allowed us to do much better business adjustments to get through all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, we see everyone running to public cloud because it's just so simple. Like my daughter can order stuff, it's so simple. So we've learned a lot about what that experience is like and what customers really want in terms of, why they went to public cloud and also what they gave up. And so we think, if we can make it that simple in terms of the buying experience all the way through the full life cycle, take what we learned from, the reasons people are going to public cloud, but give them the control, the security, the compliance, all of that by keeping it on-prem, could be best of both worlds.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see. I think there's certainly going to be a level of, if you can call it a learning curve, so to speak, or an awareness curve, or it's tough sometimes to change. Certainly changing the way you set up your team to handle, to take full advantage of what CI and HCI have to offer from traditional 3-tier. That takes some time. Maybe adopting a new way to consume your infrastructure, that might take some time. Interesting that, some folks don't care, about a third don't care, but nearly 50% prefer CapEx at this point. So it's good information.
That's a telling thing too. Like there are financial models. This isn't just about the technology, right? There's processes and, how IT organizations are set up to invest in infrastructure. If it's a CapEx based model, then as a service isn't going to really, even based on, regardless of what the technological benefits might be, just doesn't fit the financial scheme, right?
So, and that kind of raises a great point. Maybe there's an opportunity for, the user group members, as we look at this more, would the members like help talking that finance conversation, translating, hey, I think this would be good for our operations and for the infrastructure. I need help talking to my finance people because they're stuck in, and maybe stuck's too strong of a word, but they're used to a CapEx model and not an OpEx model. So how do I engage in that conversation with them to help them see the benefits that I see? That might be a great opportunity for the members to discuss amongst themselves and perhaps share some of their stories. So folks, if you're out there and you want to get engaged in that conversation, reach out to us, please. That's great. Shannon, thank you so much for your time. Before we wrap, I will open it up one final chance to the chat folks. If you've got any questions, please let us know. If you don't have questions now, you can always reach out to member services at convergeusergroup.com and we can connect you with the right folks. It's been great talking with you, Shannon, as always. We wish our correspondents, JT and Chris, good luck out on their assignments. And for the rest of the board members who made it, thank you so much for showing up and engaging. Customer members, thank you for your time. Partner members, thank you for your time. We can't do this without you. And everybody, thanks again for your time. Hollis, you out there?
I am, yes.
While
Thanks,
we're
David.
waiting for, oh, there we go. Great.
Just adding some links to the chat.
Yes, I interrupted that.
No problem. Thanks everyone for joining us. As you'll see, I've just added a couple links to the chat. Most importantly is the link to register for Dell Technologies World. I know that based off our polling at the beginning of the webcast that most of you have already registered, but if you have not, be sure to go ahead and do so. And also, equally as important, please make sure to complete our post-event survey. As mentioned, any participant that completes the survey will be entered into win a drawing, and then you will be notified if you are the winner. We are looking forward to DTW and our VR lounge event. So I will throw that link in the chat as well. Again, if you did not get that earlier, but we are looking forward to seeing you at our many upcoming events.
Yes, as always, check out convergeusergroup.com/events. Join in with the community and the members and the questions and the answers, and fingers crossed for in-person events soon. I know we don't want to rush things, but man, I'll tell you, I never thought I'd say I can't wait to get back to Vegas.
Well, thanks so much, everyone.
Well, thank you, everybody. Shannon, thanks again for your time. Hollis, thanks for all your support. Board members, everybody, thank you. Be safe. We'll see you next week at DTW and in a couple of weeks back here for another Converged Community Hour. Thank you very much.